The year is 1914. Europe basks in a summer of unprecedented peace and prosperity. An era of globalization has interconnected the continent, fostering trade and cultural exchange. Yet beneath the surface, a current of unrest stirs. This serene facade masks a web of political tensions, simmering rivalries, and a burgeoning arms race. Like a powder keg awaiting a spark, Europe stands on the precipice of a catastrophe that will forever alter the course of history, the Great War. This is not just a story of battles and treaties, it's a story of empires crumbling, ideologies clashing, and a world grappling with the dawn of modern warfare. It's a story of immense human suffering, of courage and sacrifice on an unprecedented scale. It is a story that must be told, not to glorify war, but to understand its profound and lasting impact on the world we live in today. Let us delve into the events that led to the eruption of World War I, exploring the intricate tapestry of causes and the devastating consequences that continue to resonate a century later. At the heart of the path to war lay a complex network of alliances, intricately woven over decades of political maneuvering and strategic calculations. These agreements, forged in the name of security and mutual protection, ironically became the very chains that dragged Europe into the abyss of conflict and destruction. Germany, fearful of encirclement by rival powers, aligned itself with Austria, Hungary, and Italy, forming the Triple Alliance. This coalition was meant to counterbalance the perceived threats from neighboring countries. In response, the Triple Entente was established, a pact between France, Russia, and Great Britain. This alliance aimed to provide a counterweight to the growing influence of the Triple Alliance. These alliances, intended as deterrents to war, instead created a climate of suspicion and mistrust. Each nation viewed the others with increasing wariness, preparing for the possibility of conflict. Each nation pledged to defend its allies, binding their fates together in a dangerous game of brinkmanship. The idea was that mutual defense would prevent any one country from acting aggressively. A minor conflict, they believed, could be contained through diplomatic negotiations and limited military engagements. They underestimated the interconnectedness of their commitments. However, they failed to grasp that in this interconnected web, a single tug on one thread could unravel the entire fabric of peace. The alliances were so tightly bound that any disturbance could set off a chain reaction. The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand, heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne in Sarajevo on June 28, 1914, provided that fateful tug. This event was the spark that ignited the powder keg of Europe. Austria-Hungary, with Germany's backing, issued an ultimatum to Serbia, holding them responsible for the act. The demands were harsh and intended to provoke a rejection. Serbia's partial acceptance, while seemingly conciliatory, was deemed insufficient by Austria-Hungary. The response was seen as a pretext for war rather than a genuine attempt at resolution. This set in motion a chain reaction of diplomatic failures. Efforts to mediate the crisis were unsuccessful as alliances and national pride took precedence over peaceful solutions. Within weeks, the intricate machinery of alliances whirred into action. Mobilizations were ordered and armies began to move towards their borders, preparing for the inevitable conflict. Declarations of war followed in rapid succession, transforming a localized crisis into a continental conflagration. The alliances that were meant to preserve peace now ensured a widespread war. Europe, so recently at peace, was now engulfed in the flames of war. The tangled web of alliances had ensnared the continent, leading to unprecedented destruction and loss of life. Nationalism, a potent force in the early 20th century, fanned the flames of war. It was a time when the idea of national pride and identity became a driving force in the political and social arenas of Europe. Across Europe, people developed intense loyalty to their national identities, often fueled by romantic visions of their nation's past glories. This sense of pride was not just about love for one's country, but also about a belief in its superiority over others. This fervent nationalism manifested in rivalries, territorial disputes, and a dangerous sense of cultural superiority. countries were eager to prove their dominance, leading to an atmosphere of mistrust and competition. The Austro-Hungarian Empire, a patchwork of diverse ethnicities, faced increasing internal pressure from nationalist movements. These movements sought greater autonomy or independence, challenging the stability of the empire. Serbia, seeking to unite the South Slavs under its banner, became a focal point for pan-Slavic nationalism. This ambition put it at odds with the Austro-Hungarian Empire, which saw Serbia's actions as a direct threat to its own territorial integrity. The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand, perceived as an act of Serbian aggression, ignited the tinderbox of Austro-Hungarian outrage. This event set off a chain reaction of alliances and hostilities that would soon engulf the entire continent in war. Meanwhile, Germany, unified only in 1871, harbored ambitions of asserting its dominance on the world stage. The newly unified nation was eager to prove itself and expand its influence both in Europe and beyond. Fueled by a belief in its own cultural and military superiority, Germany viewed war as a path to achieving its rightful place as a global power. The German leadership believed that a show of military strength would secure their nation's future and prestige. On the other side of the conflict, France, still smarting from its defeat in the Franco-Prussian War of 1870–71, yearned to reclaim its lost territories of Alsace-Lorraine. The loss of these regions was a national humiliation that France was determined to rectify. Russia, positioning itself as the protector of Slavic interests, saw the conflict as an opportunity to expand its influence in the Balkans. The Russian Empire aimed to support Slavic nations and counter the influence of Austria-Hungary and Germany in the region. These competing nationalistic ambitions created a volatile atmosphere where diplomacy and compromise stood little chance. The intricate web of alliances and enmities meant that any spark could set off a catastrophic chain of events, leading to a war that would reshape the world. Section 4. The Spark Assassination in Sarajevo. The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand and his wife Sophie on June 28, 1914 was the spark that ignited the powder keg of Europe. While visiting Sarajevo, the capital of Bosnia, then a province of Austria-Hungary, the royal couple fell victim to a carefully planned attack. The assassin Gavrilo Princip was a 19-year-old Serbian nationalist associated with the Black Hand, a secret society dedicated to liberating Bosnia from Austro-Hungarian rule. The assassination sent shockwaves across Europe. Austria-Hungary, outraged and fueled by anti-Serbian sentiment, saw an opportunity to crush Serbian aspirations. Germany, bound by its alliance to Austria-Hungary, pledged unwavering support, issuing a blank check that encouraged Vienna to take a hard line against Serbia. The assassination of Franz Ferdinand was not merely a localized act of terrorism, it was a political earthquake, exposing the fault lines that ran deep within European society. The event triggered a chain reaction of diplomatic blunders fueled by nationalism, imperial ambitions, and the intricate web of alliances. Section 5. The Guns of August, Europe at War. The summer of 1914 was a time of tension and uncertainty across Europe. Nations were on edge, alliances were being tested, and the world was about to change forever. August 1914. A month after the assassination in Sarajevo, the fragile peace in Europe shattered. The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria-Hungary by a Serbian nationalist set off a chain reaction that no one could have predicted. Austria-Hungary, emboldened by Germany's support, declared war on Serbia. This declaration was not just a response to the assassination, but also a move to assert dominance in the Balkans. This declaration triggered a domino effect as the intricate network of alliances drew the great powers into the conflict. The web of treaties and agreements meant that a localized conflict quickly escalated into a full-scale war. Germany, fearing a two-front war, implemented the Schlieffen Plan, a military strategy designed to knock France out of the war quickly before turning its attention to Russia. The plan was ambitious and required precise execution. German troops marched through neutral Belgium, violating international law and shocking the world with their aggression. The invasion of Belgium was a calculated risk intended to outflank the French defences. Great Britain, bound by its treaty obligations to Belgium, declared war on Germany. The British entry into the war brought the conflict to a global scale, involving colonies and dominions from around the world. France, allied with Russia and bound to defend Belgium, joined the fray. The French military mobilized quickly, preparing for a war that would test the nation's resolve and resources. Within days, the continent was engulfed in a war that many believed would be over by Christmas. How wrong they were. The initial optimism was soon replaced by the grim reality of a prolonged and devastating conflict. The early weeks of the war were marked by a series of swift offensives. Both sides hoped to achieve a quick and decisive victory, but the nature of modern warfare made such hopes unrealistic. German forces, advancing rapidly through Belgium and northern France, came within miles of Paris. The speed and efficiency of the German advance took the Allies by surprise. However, their advance was halted at the Battle of the Marne in September 1914, marking a turning point in the war. The battle was fierce and costly, but it prevented the Germans from capturing Paris. The Western Front, a 400-mile-long line of trenches stretching from the North Sea to Switzerland, would become a brutal stalemate for the next 4 years. The trench warfare that ensued was characterized by unimaginable suffering and a lack of significant territorial gains.